Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Cross the Line. I'm Mary Hawthorne here with Gabby Price, here to talk about all things Wimbledon. It's just the two of us today. I'm really excited, but first off, how are you doing, Gabby? How was your summer?
It's great. It feels like it's been forever since we've been on the pod to talk some tennis. We're currently both unknowingly sitting in the Fordham Library right now, so that's kind of a fun, a fun little thing that's happening. But yeah, end of the work week. I'm very happy it's the weekend. Time for a break from work, and I know that you've also been very busy, so hopefully we can both enjoy this weekend, and the clouds go away and the sun starts to come out at some point. But yeah, super excited. It's Wimbledon season. Definitely one of my there's only four tournaments, but it's definitely one of my favorites. So much history and so fun to watch. So I'm super excited that we're only a couple days away from seeing all of this action.
I know, I've been having tennis withdrawals because after the French Open's excitement, I mean, I know we've had some tournaments. We had the Queens, which we'll get into a little bit at the end of the pod, but it hasn't been the same. And I think Wimbledon season is one of the most exciting out of the whole year, out of the whole tour. So I'm so excited to get to talk about it. But to start off, so for those that don't know, the tournament starts on June 30th, so just a few days away. But qualifying rounds are in full swing, and most of the players have been there, honestly, for weeks to about a week, practicing, making their mark on center court, and just adjusting to the grass court atmosphere. As of right now, Coco Gauff and Arina Sabalenka have been there practicing together. I was surprised. I don't know about you, Gabby, seeing that the feud is over. I think on our last podcast, we talked about the drama that unfolded between Goff and Sabalenka at the French Open final. Sabalenka made some disrespectful comments about Goff's game, but it seems that everything is all good now. They're making TikToks on center court, and telling everybody that the feud is over. So I was curious what your thoughts were on that, Gabby.
Yeah, I thought it was super cute. I think it's so fun to see kind of the behind the scenes and and when competition isn't in swing and players are kind of interacting with each other and having fun with each other and obviously they're both there for tennis, but like friendship is bigger than tennis, I think. And so it's fun to see some of like the players that you don't normally get to see interact like that. Coco is so active on social media anyway. So seeing her pull in other players from the tour is always super fun. And I mean, part of it, like, I think there will always kind of be a feud as long as they're both on tour at the same time, just because they're athletes are so competitive. They're always going to be in the top five, I'm going to say. I think they're always going to kind of be pushing each other's buttons, but like, again, I think we've mentioned about it. Sometimes women get a little bit catty. Came out in the last finals, Sabalenka kind of said some of those words post match, but she did come back and apologize. She did say that she wasn't the wrong for saying the things about Coco. So it seemed like it was a little bit of like the heat in the moment type of situation. And I think Sabalenka has lost to Coco now a couple times in the finals. So I'm sure that's definitely a frustrating feeling. But yeah, just super fun to see them kind of making TikToks on center court. And like, I don't know, it's like so silly and so fun. And yeah, it's awesome to see kind of that content come out.
No, I totally agree. I think some of the best parts of the tour, I mean, of course, it's the tennis, but seeing the personality of the players, I mean, makes it all the more fun. And the fact that so many players are so outgoing and just really expressive on social media, I think makes it so fun. Like seeing Goff's, TikToks and Instagrams just show, I think, audiences that she is a real person. Like, of course, she's one of the
Mhm.
best tennis players in the world, but like so funny and outgoing. Um,
Yeah.
and somewhat relatable, which is a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
100%.
but no, I love her content, and I feel like the Gen Z sort of generation of the tennis world is making, more of a social media footprint, so to say. I
Mhm.
follow Alcaraz on TikTok. I think
Of
Sinner's sort of
course,
making his way now. Ben Shelton, of course.
of
But
course,
I feel like seeing even like the Wimbledon Instagram page really utilizing the platform to show the players' personalities has been so fun. Like I've been following the Wimbledon um Instagram like every day, and they're constantly posting new content. They posted a mic'd up episode of Alcaraz and Novak, or Alcaraz and Djokovic rather, on center court today, and it was just so cool seeing, that these incredible athletes are also really funny people. So I've loved it.
No, it's so fun. And I think it's kind of the beauty of, the players getting to the tournament so early and Queen's Court happening right before Wimbledon. And even when you look at the US having Cincinnati and, some of those hardcore tournaments right before the big majors, it's so fun to see the players kind of interact and get to know each other and like show the world that, yes, they're competitors on the court, but they're also kind of friends behind the court and they're funny and they like to have fun and not just like had their game face on all the time. So I think it's like a really cool way to kind of even like humanize tennis to an extent, because there are so many competitive feelings. So, the mic'd up, I mean, in any sport, it's always so good. It's kind of funny to see how players think and what they say to each other. I really like when tournaments also do that for mixed doubles. And then that's
Yes.
just like a lot of personalities. I think the US Open is really good at that. So yeah, content wise, I mean, we both love content here. Wimbledon is a great follow. Anyone who's looking to get into content, like check that page out.
Yeah, and you know what I'm immediately thinking is going to be a great like content thing is Alcaraz and Raducanu when they're playing together in mixed doubles at the US Open. I think the TikToks and just general posts are going to be insane because I've
Oh,
already seen
absolutely.
yeah, like videos of them at Wimbledon together. I mean, these are just like people secretly taking pictures of them, but um I think the content that they make together, even on like Tennis Channel or whatever, is just going to be great considering they're two like really outgoing, fun personalities.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're great personalities and so young. I think any of the young people just love being on
Yeah.
social media and being a tennis influencer, quote unquote, or not even a tennis influencer, just like
No, I know what you mean.
using their influence as popularity, I guess. I don't know.
Totally. But on that note, I think we should get into our predictions for the tournament. I know all four of us aren't here. Grace is across the pond in London. And Mary Hannah isn't here today. But for now, I think you and I, Gabby, should go over our predictions for the tournament. Why don't you kind of explain this outline that you made?
All right. I think let's start with the champion. So I kind of wanted to do like a fun little spin on predictions because, we could do the whole bracket and that would be kind of a lot, I think. And also, there's so much unpredictability in tennis. So I was kind of thinking to myself, how can we make this, as close to the point as possible while still being like fun and entertaining and stuff. So I have a couple of categories here that we all did for the women's and the men's. So let's start with who we picked as winner. We'll do women's and the men's. How about? So my winner of Wimbledon is Sabalenka.
Okay.
I think, we've already mentioned her this episode. She lost to Coco last tournament in Paris. I think she's going to be playing with a little bit of a chip on her shoulder. I think she keeps getting herself to these finals and just is unable to get there. So I think she plays well on grass. I think she has the advantage over Coco on grass. And so I think this would be a tournament that she will try and take advantage of because of that.
That is true. And that was going through my mind when I was picking my champion. I mean, Sabalenka understands the pressure that comes with a major final. She's been to so many, she's won major finals. So it's difficult. I think your point about playing with this sort of chip on her shoulder is definitely true. And I think she's going to make it very far. I think she totally could be a champion, but I'm going to go A little bit of an in a little more of an optimistic route for a player that I really love, that I think is an underdog, Jasmine Paolini. Last year,
Mhm.
her run at Wimbledon, making it to the finals, I thought was incredible. And the fact that she beat Goff at the Italian Open final, I think says something. I know that was clay, and I know Goff wasn't necessarily playing at her best, but I love her. I think she sort of has some understanding of the pressure that comes with, making it past quarters of a major, particularly at Wimbledon. So I'm gonna go with Paolini for the final here, or at least pretty far.
I do like that pick. I think she's someone who I also see doing really well. I kind of alluded to this. I have Coco as my runner-up, but I have Paolini as one of my quarterfinalists. I think you just said her run last year kind of proved that her place on the tour. And she hasn't made that much of an impact, I would say, this season, or she hasn't been breaking headlines like she did last year. But I think this tournament is a really good place for her to kind of get herself back in that. Because I think Wimbledon is so different for a lot of people. And I was actually just talking about this with my mom. If you become a really good grass player, you can beat a lot of really good players who are not as comfortable playing on
That's so
grass, excuse
true.
me. So I think she's one of those players that's kind of a sneaky, can beat any of those top five players. So I think that's a good pick. But I mean, obviously for selfish reasons, I'm still hoping for Sabalenka.
Okay, so your runner-up was Goff, mine too. Um,
Okay.
I mean, of course, I think she's going to make it very far. Love
Yes.
her. But I was surprised. I didn't realize when I was looking back at her sort of former Wimbledon runs, she has only made it to the round of 16. I mean, she's done that three times. That was
Oh,
2024, 2021, 2019. But I thought that she has made it farther. So that's where I was like, I don't know if this is necessarily her year for
mhm.
Wimbledon. I think it's her year for the US Open. I think that she's been playing so well. I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily know if she's going to be tired, but she's been devoting this like maximum effort the entire time, where I don't know if it'll be possible at this Wimbledon, considering grass like isn't her strongest surface. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that was why I totally agree. I think definitely runner up.
So then my other quarterfinalist was okay. I had Jasmine Paolini, and then I had Madison Keys. I
Oh,
think
that's a
she's
good
also
one.
a little sneaky pick. She's been playing really well recently, and we don't talk about her a lot, but I think she could find her way to a quarterfinal this year.
That's such a good pick. That is such a good pick. I forget about her Australian Open run too, when I shouldn't. I mean, she was the Australian Open champion. Wow, wait, I want to change mine. I want to add her
No,
to mine too.
no, things are locked
Okay,
in.
okay, okay. Picks are locked in. Okay, I said Sabalenka because, of course, I think she'll make it far. And then my other pick was another American, Pagula.
Yeah, those are good
She's so
picks.
solid. I think she'll definitely make it far.
So then we have this is where it gets a little fun. Most likely, wait, where am I? Oh yeah, most likely burnout. This is a top 10 player who we think will lose in the first or second round. So kind of early prediction. There's always these players who lose early. I'm going with Bedosa. I think she has a tough part of the draw and also just, kind of American biased. I don't think she's the best on grass.
Yeah, I didn't realize she's playing Bolter the first round. Wow.
Yeah.
Who now is number two for Great Britain. Yeah, no, I agree with Badosa. She wasn't my pick. I picked Andreeva.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think she's an amazing tennis player. Her run at the Miami Open proved that, but she can be inconsistent on grass. So that's why I think there's a possibility maybe for her to burn out here.
Yep. I see that. I see that. And yeah, I think she's a very on or off player. So depends on the day.
Yeah.
And then we have wild card goes wild. This is a wild card player who we think will make it to the fourth round slash just whoever we think the wild card that will go farthest. I'm a little unconfident in saying this name that I picked, but uh, Mika Stovacek, I think. Don't quote me on that, but she is playing Kruger, who is American, ranked number 31. I think um, Mika is just having a really good season thus far, and I think in this half of the draw that she's in, I think it's kind of set up that she would be able to make a run. But who did you choose?
I I was a little shaky with my pick. I picked Petra Kvitova because I've always been a fan of her. I mean, she has two single major wins under her belt, but she's playing Emma Navarro, so that's tough. I mean, I guess I'll
That
root
is
for
why I
both
did
players.
choose her.
But I think I mean, I'm not as familiar with some of these wild card picks, but seeing her
Mhm.
name, I mean, she's a great player with a lot of history. So I
Mhm.
think if anyone could beat Navarro, it would be her. So that's why I'm going to be optimistic with her as my wild card.
I like that. That's a good reasoning. And then our last category, kind of just for fun, who do we think will make a celebrity cameo at any of these matches? I said for the women's Florence Pugh. I
That was
think
a good
she's
one.
kind of in London a little bit sometimes, and I could see her making a Wimbledon appearance. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a good one. I could see her totally being there. For me, I picked Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
I
Uh,
would love that.
I
I would love
think there's a
that.
possibility here. She was there with Jonathan Bailey last year.
Ooh, okay.
So considering Cynthia Erivo is from Great Britain, I think there's a chance, but I
There's
mean,
probably a chance, probably more so for Cynthia. It would be crazy if they showed up together, I
yeah.
will say.
And
But
green is for Elphaba, the green grass.
yeah, yeah.
Wimbledon is like wicked colors. I don't know about the pink at Wimbledon, but I'm sure there are pink flowers on the
I'm
grounds or
sure
something.
there's pink
Yeah.
somewhere over there.
But I would love to see them. I think their outfits would be good.
That yeah, they would show up. They would
Yeah,
show up.
they would.
Maybe let's run the men's side super quick.
Yes.
So starting with the champion, I have Alcaraz Classic. He's on an 18 match win streak,
That's crazy.
which is absolutely insane. And so I can definitely see him making that 25 or 26 or whatever it is. He's just so good right now.
Totally. I kind of flipped my champion and runner-up. So champion, I have Sinner. I think it would be incredible if he won his first Wimbledon this year. And then runner-up Alcaraz. I think their rivalry is so good. It could go either way. I mean, I favor Sinner just in general, but we'll see how it goes. I know Sinner recently lost to Bublik, which was, a big upset. So we'll see how he goes into Wimbledon, but I think that he has a chance at being the winner here.
Yeah, yeah, and I have your flipped. I have Sinner as the runner-up, so we are in agreement of a Sinner Alcaraz rematch final. So hopefully that happens. That would be another great five-set match, probably.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
totally.
but moving on to our quarterfinal survivors. First one I have, and I think we are in agreement on this. Draper,
Yes.
classic, a Brit, would be really fun to see. Local to the country make it this far in the tournament. And then my second one, I have Mendevev.
That's a good one. That's a good
Because
one.
in my reasoning with him, I think he makes it far in tournaments, but he doesn't win them.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
I don't need him to win one, but that's my stance on him as a player.
Yeah, that's my mindset on Zverev. I think he has a good
Mhm.
draw. Like he definitely can beat these players, but then he encounters Fritz, who for some reason he cannot seem to beat. But I'm optimistic here. I think Zverev's going to beat Fritz. And that sort of leads me to my most likely to burn out top 10 player who will lose. I'm gonna go Fritz first round. He has been so inconsistent this season. He beat Zverev in, do you know what was that ATP 1000 they just played? Anyway,
Mm.
we'll look it up and get back to you guys. But if anybody cares, but I was so I was so upset that Fritz beat Zverev in this ATP 1000 tournament because I don't know. Fritz has been really inconsistent the whole year. Last year he lost in the US Open relatively early. I don't think grass is his strong suit, so that's going to be my pick. But I don't know about you, Gabby.
Yeah, no, I am in agreement with you on this. I think also that was in Germany. I think that
Oh, it
tournament
was
was in
Germany?
Germany.
Okay.
I think it was Stuttgart. I think that was what my brief Google search told me. So hopefully AI is right on this one. But I do think I may 100% agree with you on Fritz. I think he's someone who is really inconsistent and he's been playing well recently, but it feels like his that switches really quickly for him. So I do have him losing in the first, second round as well. But maybe he proves us wrong and he beats
Yeah,
Zverev again. I actually, I'm not a big Zverev fan,
me
so
neither.
I actually don't mind that he won over him as long as we're talking about that. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Moving on, wild card goes wild for the men's side. I have another Brit, Jack Pingington Jones. Talk about a British name right there. That was honestly part of the reason why. But he's also been having a good season. I think he has a good place in the draw where he would be able to make a little bit of a run. He's not playing anyone crazy for a couple rounds. So that's my wild card pick for the men's.
I'm not familiar with him, but I'm definitely interested. Um, for me, I chose Dan Evans, who's also from Great Britain. I chose him merely on his US Open run in 2024. He made it quite far. He played the longest match in US Open history.
Wow.
Yes, versus Karen Khachanov. Uh, really cool. Definitely has endurance. Has been on the tour for over 10 years. So I would love to see him make it far.
That would be fun. That
Yeah.
would be fun. I would like that as well. And then rounding it off with celebrity cameo for the men's, I have, and now reflecting a little bit, I probably should have chosen him as my women's celeb cameo. But I have Jason Sudeikis, who's
That's so
Ted
good.
Lasso in common man's terms, but he's a really big women's sports fan, so I think he could be either side of the draw here. But I do think he's very likely to make a tennis appearance of sorts.
That's such a good pick, especially with Ted Lasso. And isn't he a big Fever fan or Caitlin Clark fan, maybe,
Yeah,
right?
I think so. He's
Very cool.
very he loves the WNBA, so we love him.
I love it. Yes.
Mr. Davies.
That was such a good pick. For me, I chose Charlie XCX because I love her. She's from the United Kingdom. I think, we could definitely see her there. Wimbledon is Brat Green. Uh,
True,
so
true. I like
I think
your
it'd be
color
fun.
themes here.
That wasn't even intentional. I honestly just thought of it now after I said that about Wicked. But yeah, I'd love to see her. I think she'd be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be really fun. She'd be sitting in the stands with like big sunglasses
Yes,
and a crazy
yes.
outfit. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
that would be awesome.
Exactly.
But that does it for our prediction. So it should be a super exciting Wimbledon. We'll follow us on our socials to stay updated with our picks. We'll see who does the best by the end of the tournament, and then you will also be able to see Grace and Mary Hannah's picks, which I'm very curious to see. I was hoping that they would have had them picked so that we could talk about them together, even though they aren't here. But I'm curious how similar or different they will be. Because we just between the two of us, we had some variety, so it'll be fun to see where they land.
Definitely. And with that being said, this is Cross the Line. I'm Mary Hawthorne here with Gabby Price, a production of WFUV Sports.